Welcome to Minding Your Business on News Talk 1380, the Antelope Valley and North LA County's source for your news now. I'm Chris Spiker, Antelope Valley florist, and Minding Your Business, Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. First chamber member, Ron Hier. Ron, hello.
Good afternoon, Chris. How are you doing today?
Very good. You call your company the Hier Advantage.
That is correct, the Hier Advantage.
Real estate and a broker.
Yes, I'm an owner-operator of the Hier Advantage Real Estate Sales and Service.
And the other day at 7 in the morning, you were at a chamber event over at Domingo's.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Domingos serves up a nice breakfast, and we, I don't know, must have been about 50 other chamber members there. It was fantastic.
It was a great place to be at 7 in the morning, so you're up and raring to go that early in the day.
Every day, yeah. Usually get up a little bit earlier than that, hit the gym, and then, like everybody else, check your emails, and then get going for the day.
And then some guy asks you to be on a radio show.
That was fun. That's, I'll be there.
And we had a chance to talk the other day over a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, Starbucks coffee is good stuff.
Tell me a little bit about the Hier Advantage.
Well, the Hier Advantage is, I'm the owner, broker of the company. It's me, myself, and I. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. Worked for two other companies, about 9 years each, and then broke off on my own a little over 3 years ago.
Don't you want to have a whole bunch of employees all sitting around in all those desks? I mean, isn't that a more prestigious company to have all those employees and helpers?
You can do both. Right now I'm in the growth stage, and probably down the road that will happen. I'd rather them not be sitting at their desk. I'd rather be out in the community and talking to clients and getting business that way. It's really difficult to sit at a desk and wait for the phone to ring and get business that way.
So what's the difference between a realtor and a broker?
On the designation side, a broker has a little bit more of a fiduciary responsibility, and they are the agent. A realtor typically is an associate to, it's a sales associate and works for the broker.
So do you use a different voice when you go into the office? First you have the realtor voice, then you have the broker voice, so it sounds like two people?
No, it's all one voice.
Wow, that was kind of a trick question.
Yeah, I figured that.
So you have the MLS for the area.
That's correct.
All of the houses. You also do commercial property?
Some commercial, mostly residential, a little bit of land. I belong to the Greater Antelope Valley Association of Realtors, which is the main board out in the Antelope Valley, as well as the San Fernando Regional Board, which is a part of another board called CRMLS, which is basically the rest of California.
So you list things, you sell things.
Right, help buyers buy property and sellers sell property, and ultimately it's when a buyer and a seller agree to a certain price, that's what is agreed upon in market value for any property.
And then we start printing forms and running paper because it takes a lot of paper and forms and...
Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork, but nowadays also a lot of it can be done through the internet. A lot of the forms can be emailed and digitally signed, so there's not a whole bunch of printing and then copying and then reprinting and sending and faxing, so it's a lot more efficient nowadays as well.
Clever name for your company, the Hier Advantage. Your last name is spelled H-I-E-R. Ron, tell me about the people in your team. You've got escrow and...
Right, so for any good agent is going to have an escrow officer, title rep, mortgage officer, loan officer, and that's basically the nucleus to get all of the projects done.
I remember the first house I bought, they must have had a special program because I didn't have the perfect credit score. So you help people through that process of...
Yeah, absolutely. There's, in general, there's two basic ways of purchasing a home. There's conventional loans, and then there's FHA. So FHA is government-backed loans. And there are some special programs out there that you need about 3.5%, sometimes less than that, to get into a house. You can have the seller pay for some of the closing costs, and that's what I help buyers and sellers do, navigate those avenues.
1,000 here, 1,000 there, it kind of adds up after a while.
It really does. And then, the pricing of the houses keeps going up too. So save a little and then finance a little, and then, it is a great investment.
So what's the trend right now? We're towards the end of 2015. What's selling? What's exciting? What's moving?
Yeah, generally between 200 and 300,000 is probably the hottest properties, just because when you finance them, they're still very affordable on a monthly basis. If anybody's moving in from out of the area, from, say, San Fernando Valley, I mean, they're renting a whole lot more than you can buy a house between $200,000 and $300,000 out here. And I'd say there's a housing shortage, but there's not a ton of houses on the market. And I do see that changing in the next year as people get more and more equity in their homes, gives them a little bit better chance to move.
Are we still building houses?
We are building some, and I think they're going to start building more in the near future out here, for sure.
So what's the problem with building more? Is it the water, or is it...
The main thing is the water, and it's a price too. I talked to a gentleman that represents from a large corporation of building homes, and he said it costs about $125,000 for the infrastructure and the lot before they start building a house on it. So you need a price point of about $300,000 and up for major builders to start making money at that for new construction.
Well, that just, knowing where we came from, that just seems like kind of a shame, but you want the house to be built correctly. It's got to have infrastructure.
And that's true. And that's why you see a lot of the homes that are being built right now were previous developments that were abandoned. So those, for a builder, a little bit cheaper to get into. Some of the roads are graded, and maybe some of the utilities are already in. So when they go in to do something like that, it's a little bit cheaper, more cost effective.
We do have several neighborhoods that there's a fence around it, there are some streets, there are light poles or a stack of light poles over in the corner.
Yeah. And some of those are big developments that were foreclosed on in the past and still working their way through the channels. Eventually, they're going to get built out.
Tell me about your decision process in joining the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, so I was with the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce off and on, I don't know, the past 10 years. And then, let's see, my youngest son graduated from high school back in June, and it's given me a little bit more opportunity to grow my business. And I know that the community involvement with the Chamber and other organizations is just doing my part to help out different areas of the community.
Well, like you did at Domingo's there, you showed up and you had a stack of business cards. Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 of your cards already.
That's fine.
They're everywhere. And I think, you got to have a big box of cards. You just got to say hi to people.
Go out and say hi to people. And then even with the cards, there's these the phones that they have these days are just it's just like a mobile business card. You call your friend, he's got your number, you got his number, and then it's easy as having a business card.
Well, I left Domingo's there, and I was on Avenue L, and I saw your sign on a property, and then you sent me a handwritten acknowledgement, thank you card, which I thought was a great follow-up.
Yeah, there's a lot of texting and emailing and social media that this is good, but to put the human touch on it and to go out and talk to the people face to face, and then have a handwritten thank you card, I think says a whole lot more than just a text says thanks.
You're right. You're right. So I know a lot of realtors, and I think there are 2 of you who have sent me a handwritten thank you card. So did you read a book on how to do that, or?
I did not read a book on how to write a thank you card. I just, you know what? I think my mom taught me. You know what? When you want to say something nice, let them say it with a card.
I like it.
Take a few minutes, write it down, send it out.
Speaking of your mom and your dad have some success and history in the retail business. Tell me about their business.
Right. So my dad worked for Vaughn's Shopping Bag a long time ago. And then, gosh, I don't even know what year it was, but I was 10. And my mom and dad bought the store out in Little Rock. At the time, it was called Wade's Market, changed it to Hires Market, and he had it for years and years.
A long time.
A long time.
30 years?
It was good. Could have been 30 years.
And
I'm
you
sure
were
it was.
you were in there as a 10-year-old?
Yeah, we
running the place?
Well, it was great to have a grocery store.
What a great experience.
It was fantastic, and I learned a lot.
Yeah. And you're still excited about life.
And it's fantastic. And I was born and raised here.
How do folks reach the Hire Advantage?
The best way is you can call me on my cell phone, 661-406-1562, or you can email me at ronhier@yahoo.com.
And they can call the Chamber of Commerce and say, who was that Ron guy, the Hire guy, that was on the radio show last week?
And I'd appreciate that as well.
Positively. Well, that's the job of the Chamber, is to promote the people that are involved, that have invested in the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And the real trick of the Chamber is it's pretty easy to get somebody to join, but to keep them in, like, okay, what's the advantage of being involved with the Chamber of Commerce? We tell that story over and over.
Well, I think it's doing things like this, being out in the community, and letting everybody know that you're around.
Ron Hier, the Hire Advantage. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure. That's how you do it.
That's well, fast.
Do you ever take a picture for Facebook, you and I?
Let's do it.
Okay.
You Photoshop all the wires out?
It's good.
I could do that. I am a graphic design student.
I'm sure you could.
Awesome.